Welcome to another installment of Under Construction. Today we have a special guest, Vashti Hurt. As usual, Kaza Sose and angry black fan Jamal Darby.
Well, I
So,
gotta be.
Vashti, how was your week, man?
Busy. Yeah, been a busy week with
You went viral, I see.
a little bit. All I did was just play some nice edited clip out there for the masses to make their own assumptions, and they did exactly what I thought they would do. So it went well.
Gotcha. Kaza, how was your week, brother?
Pretty good. Hornets are winning, so it's a good week.
Molly Mall.
Hey man, nice weather here in the Queen City, man. Can't ask for nothing more. Beautiful week, man. Hornets winning. My Oakland A's finally won the game this week, man. It's a good week for me, man.
The Oakland
Okay.
A's.
Yeah, Oakland and
Always
okay.
amazing.
So
Always amazing.
we'll leave that one alone. So the Panthers this week acquired Sam Darnold in a trade with the New York Jets in exchange for a 21 6th-round pick, a 22 second, and fourth. Jamal, what were your reactions to it specifically? Because I know you've been vocal.
I just first before I go, I just want to let everybody know there is no alcohol in this cup right here. It is tea. I decided to not drink when we talked about this topic today. My first thought was a cycle of mediocrity. The build up to possibly going after Deshaun Watson, possibly drafting a QB. When our owner has been very vocal about how aggressive he's going to be going after our franchise quarterback, and you ended up trading assets and second-round picks for Sam Darnold, who has been pedestrian at best with the New York Jets. I'm going to say unexcited is the word I'm going to use about this move. I do want to be objective. I know that Darnold comes from a absolutely dreadful franchise of the New York Jets, and maybe a change of scenery is needed, and maybe maybe being reunited with Robbie Anderson will kind of propel his career again. But to say that I'm excited, I'd be telling a farce. I'd be lying, man. So, I'll just be in wait and see mode. I'll hope for the best, but it just doesn't move the needle for me.
Kaza, you and Vash, I'm coming to you next. I got another question too.
The more I think about it, the less upset, confused I am about it. At first, I was like, "What?" It seemed like the Teddy Bridgewater deal all over again. But then I thought about it. Clearly, Bridgewater's on his way out. The Panthers already cleared him to talk to other teams, and that writing was on the wall. Everybody knew it. Deshaun Watson was off the table. He's off the table forever for every other team in the NFL now, unfortunately. So what do? You got a guy who was highly thought of as a prospect coming out of college. He was the number 3 pick. He's in a bad situation. You don't give up anything really to get him. I mean, the Panthers didn't.
Except second-round picks.
But the thing is, in the NFL, second-round picks aren't, especially from the Panthers. Especially when you're talking about a quarterback, the most valuable position in football. To give up second-round picks, future second-round picks for him, the Panthers really didn't give up all that much. My only thing, though, is that Sam Darnold, despite the situation in New York, I don't think has ever shown even flashes of being a franchise quarterback. You could take – the Panthers were a terrible team when Cam Newton came, right? But look at what Cam Newton was able to do. He was able to completely turn the franchise around and still be a star player as a rookie. Sam Darnold was never able to do that. And although I think he'll be better in a Panthers uniform than a Jets uniform, I'm not sold that he is the future moving forward.
Gotcha. Vashti, same question. And also, I want to add, in your opinion, is he an upgrade over Teddy?
I haven't honestly. I'm going to be real candid about this, and I've been asked a lot. I think that my reaction was very similar.
Mm-hmm.
As far as when I first heard the news, I was like, "What? Wait a minute!" And then as I let it simmer and thought about it, I don't think that the Panthers gave up too much. I would have been much less pleased if the Stafford trade went through, and they gave up the eighth pick, and some other things for Matthew Stafford. So to me, this is like you are giving up too much. You're basically rolling the dice on a quarterback who was highly regarded coming out of college. If he pans out, then great. If he doesn't, then I still feel, and I just said this on a different show. If Justin Fields is there at 8, I think the Panthers still take him. So this really just gives the Panthers an opportunity to draft the best player available. If Sam works out, great. If he doesn't, then it is what it is. So yeah. What was the other question, Rodney?
And do you think he's an upgrade over Teddy at this point?
I have not seen enough of him to say he's an upgrade. I do feel like he'll air the ball out more, which is what the Panthers lacked in Teddy. And if he puts the ball in the air, you have 2 great receivers in Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore who can make plays. A la what Jake Delhomme. Jake Delhomme wasn't the greatest quarterback, but he had no problem throwing it up and allowing his receivers to make plays. And if you get that out of Sam Darnold, then I don't think that that's a bad thing.
Gotcha.
Oh, so we just traded assets for Jake Delhomme. Awesome, great.
Jamal, you taking it left.
It's just a joke, guys. I'm sorry.
I mean,
no, you meant that. You
really did mean that.
You meant that. Stop it.
And look, in my opinion, man, you went after Deshaun Watson, and that is not going to happen for obvious reasons. You went after Stafford. We weren't a preferred destination. Sam Darnold was kind of the logical choice right after that. And then you got to look at it. We kind of burned bridges with Teddy Bridgewater, like the owner's comments, social media not putting them on certain things and stuff like that. And Teddy has been on the way out since basically the end of the season. So you kind of had to do just as good a slightly upgraded position, and I think the Panthers did that. And then we picked up the fifth year option on him. So it's just like a year and another year of auditioning for him. And if he's not the guy, you got 2022, you got Sam Howell.
Whoopee.
I mean, as long we got to keep that number 8 pick. That's really what.
I mean, yeah.
So I mean, if anything, I don't think this is Sam Darnold is a downgrade from Teddy Bridgewater. I think he'll do things differently. Like Vashti said, he's going to throw the ball downfield, something that Teddy and maybe Vashti can give some insight on this, but I had heard there were rumblings in the locker room about Teddy not getting the ball downfield. Guys like Robbie Anderson were like, hey, man, if you throw it, I could go get it. And either Teddy wasn't willing to do that. I just think that he really couldn't. That's not Teddy's physical game. Yeah. But I think players might be a lot more happy with Sam Darnold because he's a bit more of a gunslinger.
Wide receivers love playing with gunslingers. I mean, nobody wants to have to catch a pass 8 yards and then do all that work to get downfield. So, yeah, I think the receivers are happy to have a guy who has no problem with putting the ball in the air. We haven't heard from them. We haven't really spoken to anybody other than Scott Fitterer about the trade. But,
Look.
Yeah.
This trade is it seems like it's been in the works for a while because the social media team was ready to fire off those memes.
Oh my gosh. I have not this energy. And I mean, poor Teddy. I feel bad for Teddy.
I do too.
Because he didn't get this energy at all. Like they really went all in for Sam like 2 days, 3 days in a row. That's like force feeding the content. And I'm like, wow, like why even sign Teddy?
Well, I think there's a vast difference between who Teddy Bridgewater is who's coming in after versus who Sam Darnold is coming after. I think that probably makes a difference. Now, one thing I did want to speak on really quick. Now, I will forgive the Panthers if this rumored deal goes through. Now, according to Jason Lockenfourier from CBS Sports, there is a rumor where there's along with the Denver Broncos, which could net us the number 9 pick if the money works and if the trade works out. Again, this is just a rumor from Jason Lockenfourier. We don't know how that'll kind of work out just yet, but I will forgive the Panthers if they get a number 9 pick back for Teddy Bridgewater.
Gotcha. I got a question for you.
They would get a number 9 pick for Teddy Bridgewater?
That, according to Jason Lockenford from CBS Sports, yes. I don't know how he didn't provide any further details, but
No way.
What the kids say, Cap.
we see stupid deals in the NFL all the time. It actually wouldn't surprise me. I think there are a lot of teams that are still high on Teddy Bridgewater, and they think that. I mean, the problem with Teddy Bridgewater, I don't know if it was so much him, it was the situation. It was, for instance, I think Sam Darnold is going to be more receptive to the coaching staff than Teddy Bridgewater was. When you have situations like what happened in the Green Bay game, where the coach says, "Hey, Teddy, don't do this," and Teddy does it, and we lose the game. I don't think Sam Darnold's going to do those kind of things. And I think that a lot of teams in NFL probably feel like, okay, if Teddy was with us, that situation would be different. I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers pulled off a number 9 pick for Teddy and maybe some cash.
We shall. So I got a question, though. Do you think the way that the Panthers moved on from Teddy and Cam will kind of hurt them down the line with other future quarterbacks and players?
No. Football is a business. Football is a dog-eat, dirty business. Sports is a dirty business. It's just a part. Like, what did they expect? I mean, guys, yeah, no, it doesn't look good how they parted ways with either quarterback, but they still cash checks. The check cleared, and guys will come to Carolina if the check clears. Like, if they pay enough money, like, no guy is going to be offered more money at Carolina, let's say, than they are offered anywhere else. They say, "Oh no, I'm not going to Carolina because of how they did Cam Newton and Teddy Bridgewater." If the check clears, the guys are coming. Period.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, and the more and more I kind of hear that, man, the more and more BS I think it is. We just saw the New England Patriots give up the greatest quarterback of all time, man. So anything can happen. It is the business. I think these players know what they get themselves into these days, man. It happens more and more often. I don't think so, man.
Yeah, the only thing that it does as far as a detriment is the Panthers can't use we're different than other franchises. They can no longer use that because the way that they handled those two situations shows that, no, you guys are exactly like every other NFL franchise.
And I think that died with Jerry Richardson being gone anyways. You know, the Jerry Richardson era was kind of like, hey, look at us. We're loyal to our guys. And I think when he left, man, that kind of just went away with him as well. So,
gotcha. So the draft is in a few weeks. Just give me a position that you think the Panthers need to address in the draft. just the one position. Give me one.
I'm gonna take the first round off the table because the first round should always be BPA. I don't care about positions, especially with the number 8 pick. You take the best guy. If Kyle Pitts is there, you take him. If Justin Fields is there, you look really, really hard at taking him.
Kyle Pitts won't be there.
No, Kyle Pitts won't be there. But if second round and beyond is when you start looking at need. Man, the Panthers have a lot of holes to show up. They did shore up some stuff on the back end at the cornerback position recently, bringing over a former Pro Bowler from the Broncos. But I think everyone is thinking offensive lineman. The thing is, it's really, really hard to draft a good offensive lineman. It just is. Else, every team would stock up on good offensive linemen. But I do think that is the main position in need for the Panthers, especially if you're bringing in Sam Darnold. He's going to have all these weapons around him. 2,000-yard wide receivers. Christian McCaffrey's going to be back healthy. You need an offensive line. And I think the Panthers have made enough moves on the defensive line to where we don't need to draft there. So that's my position in need, offensive line.
I agree.
You agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think you take best player available, but if Penny is there, I think the Panthers, you got to take them. It's just there are just so many question marks though going into this draft. So you never know who is going to be where. Other than Trevor Lawrence, really everything else is open. So You gotta take best player available at that point, and you don't even know who that's gonna be. But I would like to see the Panthers finally attempt to shore up the offensive line, which they have done in the past. The picks hadn't worked out. Greg Little has been, Jeff Otah, who was picked in the first. Like, it's just the Panthers have not had that much luck with drafting offensive linemen, and hopefully that changes if they're able to get one this year.
It's funny you say that, because on previous shows, I've said that the same thing about the Panthers. It's not for lack of trying. Like, it's not like they haven't tried to improve the offensive line. With that being said, I've also said that the Cincinnati Bengals would be crazy to pass up on Penei Sewell, but
they probably will.
But it looks like it looks like they're all in on Jamar Chase. So it looks like that's going to be the pick for them. So that's going to open up Sewell to be there at 8 for us, and we'd be crazy to pass up on Sewell if he's there at 8. So I think that's the obvious pick if he's there. Y'all know I've been on the Micah Parsons bandwagon, but if Sewell is there at 8, man, I think you got to take him. We haven't had a consistent left tackle since Jordan Gross, and Sewell could be that. So I think you got to go all in on him if he's there, man.
This draft scares me. Despite what people think about the job Marty Herney did, the guy could draft, especially in the first round.
Absolutely,
he's not here. We've got really kind of a noob. And from what we know, it might be kind of a more collective decision on who they pick. I'm kind of afraid they might do something out of left field, and fans ain't gonna be happy about it. So,
gotcha. And before we move on, where did Trevor Lawrence go to school again?
Oh God, here we go, man.
I just want to know. It's Clemson, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Number 1 pick. Vash, you got to drop off.
Nobody worried about Clemson.
Look, Clemson is like the holy mecca of the ACC at this point.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Vash, you got to drop off, don't you?
No, I got some more time if y'all want me to stay.
Cool. Well, look, I'm gonna skip a topic and we're gonna get into Hubert Davis.
Oh God.
So
no, y'all not. What y'all won't do is get me in trouble.
No. You're not gonna say nothing.
Of course not.
I'm going to say something.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So, on as we covered last week, Roy Williams retired on April Fool's Day, and this week Hubert Davis was named the first African American head coach of UNC, basically. And somebody asked him a question like, "What is the significance of this?" And he's like, "It's very significant that I'm the first Black head coach, 4th in school history of all sports, of the North Carolina Tar Heels." And then he adds, "Also proud that my wife is white and my children are a mixture," without that question even being asked of him.
Unsolicited statement.
Unsolicited. And also we learned that he was compromised. So, Kaiser, what's your thoughts on this, brother?
Okay, all right. Actually, I do have a thought, because when you try and make sense of such a weird, out of context comment, like where the fuck that come from? But I do think that sometimes some Black people, especially when they're moved into positions of prominence, don't like their race being a focus of that prominence. Because Hubert Davis believes that him being Black had nothing to do with, and that's probably true. Him being Black probably had nothing to do with that hire. But it looks good now. Hey, an institution like University of North Carolina, who they've had great basketball coaches, but they've all been old white guys. Now you have an alum, a Black alum, who is well loved by the school in a really prominent position. One of the most prestigious sports programs ever in history now has a Black coach. So of course that's going to be brought to the front and center. And I think that kind of probably prickled him a little bit. He probably didn't want to talk about race. So he probably figured, well, the best way I can balance that is to talk about the fact that, hey, my wife is white. And that wasn't, it wasn't a good comment to make in the context, but I got to think that's probably why he made it. He wanted to take the focus off of me being Black. Well, hey, look, my family is mixed. And so me being Black a black coach probably isn't as important to me as you guys think it is. I think that's where the comment came from.
Jamal.
So, Kaza, using that as a defense mechanism to not talk about race, I actually agree with that as far as why he may have did it. However, the reality is that he is the first black coach at North Carolina, and race is going to be an issue, no matter whether he likes it or not. And I'm sorry to be controversial on this Sunday, but the first season his black ass does not produce for the North Carolina Tar Heels, you will hear about it. Exactly. And he's going to have a very short lease as a black head coach. So regardless of whether he wants to face that reality or talk about it with the press, it is not going to be the reality, whether he likes it or not. Now, to get to basketball stuff, he got a pretty good transfer coming in from Virginia. Garrison Brooks, unfortunately, is in the transfer portal. So he has work to do. And whether it's fair or unfair, he is at North Carolina. This is the biggest and best job out here in the nation right now. So regardless of all this other stuff, man, he has work to do, and he has to show and prove more than any other head coach in the university's history. He has to perform and produce more than anyone. That's the reality.
Vashti, let me get your condensed response.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Take your time. Take your time, sweetheart. Take your time.
Look. If you want me to add on and let you kind of process it, I can add on. I mean,
I've been processing this since I covered the conference, and when he said what he said, I texted my other friend Jasmine, who is a black woman in media, and we were like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? What kind of deep-seated insecurities or self-loathing do you have going on when you're asked about your position, you making history and being the first black man to lead the UNC program, that you felt the need to, in an unsolicited way, say that you're proud to be black, but you're also proud to have a white wife. We don't care. We don't care. We don't care about your white wife. So to me, it tells me that Hubert Brown does not feel like his work and his accomplishments stand on their own. He doesn't feel like he himself, who he is good enough. Mm. He felt like he's bold. His white wife bolsters him, and it helps him out. And it's a sad place to be, because black man, who you are, is good enough. Mm. Like, you don't have to tout your white wife for acceptance. You've been in this business how many years? You played on a professional level. You've done media. You coached under Roy Williams. Like, you don't need to feel validated with your white woman. And we don't care. Like, that's the thing. We don't care. So, black woman, all talks about the work he has to do. As a black woman, I'm watching your press conference and you're recruiting my son. And you come and you sit across the table from me. And I know that you, as a black man, when they ask you about the significance of the hire, comes out your mouth, I got a white wife. And you think you're going to sit at my table, a black woman? You felt like, I mean, if his wife were black, he's not saying that.
I agree.
That's the problem. If his wife were black, when he was asked that question, he's not saying, I'm a proud African American. I'm proud and I understand the significance of this. And I'm proud I got this black queen next to me. He's not saying that. So there's a problem there. And that's where my problem comes in. And I think that it's going to be difficult for him to recruit after that conference. That was everywhere. Mm-hmm. There were players who are like,
what?
UNC, who are in DMs like, yo, what is he doing?
Right.
Mm. And that's a good look.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that whole press conference is going to be made about that more than the work that he has to do. But he made his own
bed to himself. And
yeah, I know he did to himself.
I wanted to give Hubert a pass, because I was like, okay, press conferences are tough. You're on this big stage, maybe it came out wrong. Maybe like you were like, oh, dang, I should have said it that way. He said it twice. The exact same verbiage.
He did say it twice.
Yeah.
He doubled down.
He said it during the press conference, and he also said it on Inside Carolina, which is the Tar Heels official podcast their show. So you said it twice. You thought through this answer, and that's what you came up with.
So look, I'm gonna give my perspective of it. We heard names like Jerry Stackhouse. I even heard rumblings of Rasheed Wallace. To me, this was a message to those Carolina bourgeoisie class people saying, "Hey, I'm black, but I ain't that type of black. We ain't about to have no hip hop nights here and all the other stuff." It's basically a continuation of what has transpired before. And so,
but UNC needs to get away from that. That's the problem.
Remember, guys, Michigan got away from that, and look how much success they had this season. And I also want to note that Juwan Howard was ranked over the coals before he even coached the game with Michigan. Mm-hmm. There are so many quotes I can pull up with radio hosts and analysis talking about this is a terrible hire and I can't believe they did this, and there were so many more other coaching options that deserve the job. So
Michigan fans don't want to hear this, but there's a difference between Michigan and University of North Carolina.
I mean that's true.
University of North, you're talking about a program that has been like prestigious mostly in basketball, but other sports too, baseball, even lacrosse. We're talking about 100+ years of tradition with UNC. It's going to be hard to supplant that traditional thinking, especially where does the money come from? I mean,
old money. It comes from old money.
UNC is going to have old money till the end of time. I agree. They do need to get away from that old stodginess, but I don't know if it'll ever happen. And Hubert Davis was probably the safe black guy pick. He would probably like to think that his race had nothing to do with that hiring, and I would like to think that too. But let's be honest,
it did, right?
Yeah, they said okay, yeah,
it did. It's a good look. It helped out the fact that, and they made history, and that's why that question was asked, because they wanted him to give the right answer. But I get that there's old money. But money, you know what really brings money to the university and the program? Winning. So if Stackhouse could come in and play Little Baby, The Baby, all the babies. If that team is winning, money is coming, and the alumni are proud to say that they are Tar Heel graduates. I don't care about all of that stuff. Like if that person is a winner, then that's what it is. And Carolina has not been getting those top recruits. Why? Mm-hmm. From what I've been told, is because they corny.
They're corny. Yep.
The coaching staff is corny. And then you put a cornball in the head coaching spot. So how does that help out? There's no pizzazz about UNC. I cover them, and I want UNC to be good so bad. They need to have some more pizzazz. Honestly, Coach K got more street cred than Hubert Brown.
They do.
Hubert Davis. Yeah, that's sad too.
I mean, Hubert Davis.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Look, guys, I was actually in the clubhouse room with Ninth Wonder. He was talking about how just basically, like, going back to
my face when he said Ninth Wonder.
Huh? He's a Duke fan, though.
I said, Jamal, you see my face when he said Ninth Wonder? I got Ninth Wonder stories. We'll talk about.
We can talk about that later. But he was just talking about the Peach Jam down in Augusta, and how like certain coaches, when they come down there, they have that certain cachet with the players. And he said Roy even had a little bit of it, but he wasn't at the Coach K level, the Calipari level, and stuff like that. And he made a statement about Hubert Davis that was interesting. He was just saying that Hubert can't really kind of relate to those young guys, and he was kind of off to the side, not really mingling. And I hate to say this, but North Carolina to me is in for some lean times coming up. It's just kind of sad, man. I'm rooting for Hubert, but I don't think Hubert's that guy for the job right now.
I'm rooting for Hubert too.
In general is up for some lean times. We've talked about this before. The LaMelo Ball effect is real. Players are going to say, why would I go play for UNC, a place that has probably almost billions of dollars in revenue, and I'm not going to see any of that when I could go overseas and hone my craft and get paid, a couple $100,000 a year and then go right into the NBA. Hubert Davis is not the guy to convince young players that that's not the path they need to take. You need to come, play for me at UNC.
But I thought that also, but there are a couple of guys and I can't remember their names. They went the G League route, the G League Elite or G League. I don't remember what it's called, and they were looked at, and I don't know where their draft stock is now, but it's not as high as what it was before they went into that program. Now, granted, I think they're still listed as first rounders, and they did get paid, which I think is important. But the stage that college basketball provides right now is still unmatched compared to the G League. Like, I don't watch G League games. And name recognition, star power, all of that stuff, you can sell that on the college level. You can't sell that on the G League level, and nobody knows you. And these guys, they don't just want to be hoopers, like they want to be stars. They want people to know who they are, and people know the guy from Gonzaga who made the game-winning shot.
Yep. So
they don't know if you made a game-winning shot and a G League game for the G League championship. Nobody knows who you are.
And not everybody has a father who talks, every other week to the media too. So that probably makes a difference.
You got a point. You have a point. So guys, man, one more thing before we move on. So I guess it's safe to assume, but it's been confirmed already that I got a story to tell was not about Hubert Davis.
It's about Anthony Mason.
Anthony Mason, actually.
According to Fat Joe, it's about Anthony Mason. John Stark.
Biggie write a rap about Hubert Davis. That ain't no cachet.
Hey, man, look. People really thought it was about Hubert Davis, man.
Ain't no cachet in that. Come on, y'all.
And look. And one more point, man. The reason why this is just for everybody. The reason why Black people were so upset with Hubert Davis' statement as well. UNC and North Carolina and the Carolinas, that's like the Black people's school. Like Charlie Scott, Dean Smith was progressive. And like for Hubert Davis to come on stage, being the first Black coach there, and to kind of downplay his race in order to make people comfortable, it's sad. It kind of reminds me of what Tiger Woods did when it was like, "You're the first Black golfer." He's like, "Nah, I'm half.
I'm everything."
Yeah, I'm everything. Yeah, so whatever. So we're gonna keep going, man. So the Hornets were like 2-1 this past week with wins over.
We were wrong.
Look, we were dead. Look, we were wrong by default. It was some holdouts. We beat Milwaukee. We beat OKC. And who did we lose to?
Boston.
We lost to Boston pretty bad last week. And we have Atlanta tonight. Guys, I want to talk about Jalen McDaniels, Kaz's favorite player. How do you feel about his actual development?
So you know what I noticed the last few games of Jalen McDaniels, why he's playing better? He's passing the ball. He's not taking every shot that's available to him. He's taking good shots. He's passing the ball in situations that warrant it.
And let me interject real quick. He better pass the damn ball with Terry Rozier next to him. He better pass.
I noticed there was a point at where he had a shot, and the spacing wasn't even good. And he looked over and saw Terry and gave him the ball, and Terry hit a three. And I was like, see, that's why you're a starter now with all the injuries, and that's why you're seeing an increase in production from Jalen McDaniels. Jalen McDaniels, to me, always had the tools. The guy is almost 6'10". He can play defense. He can get to the basket. It's just that, because he was coming off the bench, I think he kind of felt like, okay, I'm in the game. I got to get mine. And sometimes that hurt the team. And I think, that was something I think that hurt Malik Monk his first 3 seasons. And then when Monk said, okay, I got my teammates, I defer to them and the defense is going to leave me alone, and I can do my thing. And then look what we've seen from Malik Monk, and we start to see the same thing from Jalen McDaniels. And it will be interesting though, is when the Hornets get healthy again, and he's got to go back to the bench. How is his production going to? Obviously, he's not going to get as many minutes. He's not going to get as many opportunities. It's going to be tougher to be consistent. That's what I think is going to be the next major step he has to take. But I'll say this: if he ends up being halfway consistent, if he can be a better player than the Martin twins, boy, you really have to look at what JB does as a player development guy. I mean, you just add his name to the list of guys who are really overachieving. PJ, Miles, Devontae, now Jalen McDaniels, the resurgence of Malik Monk. I'm interested to see what Jalen McDaniels does when the Hornets are healthy.
Yeah,
but good job for him these last few games. We don't win those games without those performances from him.
Jamal.
So, I was going to put out a Captain Obvious tweet and be like, well, damn, he plays a hell of a lot better with the starters than he does when he's coming off the bench.
Should be the case every time.
But at the same time, man, I think when he's coming off the bench, he's trying to prove something. I think he's a player who tried too hard to prove that, hey, I deserve to be in this rotation more than, I'm not going to name any names just yet, but y'all get the picture, man. But, man, I think, man, it all goes back to fit. We on this show never questioned Jalen McDaniels' ability. We've always given him props for what he could do. We've always said, he has the talent and the potential to be a good player. But when you put that together and you start figuring out how to play the NBA game, that is so important for young NBA players. And I think being with those experienced veterans and being with those starters, he's learning the NBA game. And what I mean by that, he's learning when to shoot, when to pass, when to cut, when to switch. All that stuff is so important to young players who struggle with those type of things in the NBA. And playing with those starters, man, he gets it. And I jokingly made a comment like, yeah, he better pass the ball. But in all seriousness, man, I mean, obviously a lot more talent to work with than playing with Grant Riller and Nick Richards and garbage time points. It's a hell of a difference playing with the talent with the starters, man. But also, like Kaza said, man, I'm interested to see how this plays out when we get healthy and Hayward and Monk and LaMelo Ball hopefully are all back and he goes back to the bench. I hope he can keep some of those same principles and not revert back to, hey, let me prove my worth and try so hard and jack up shots with 19 seconds on the clock. We just hope he doesn't revert to that stuff when he goes back to the bench.
Gotcha. Look, I got a statement. So JB needs to be fired. His rotation sucked, and he will never get this team over the hump. Reply to me.
If there's a statement that clearly translates and says, I don't know basketball and I don't know what I'm talking about, that would be the statement.
I'm going to block you, okay?
No, but
inside joke. Leave it alone.
I think, okay, so I'm not saying that JB is above criticism. No coach in the NBA is.
No coach is.
But you look at the situation as a whole. First of all, you look at when the Hornets hired him, they said, we are hiring him because of player development. That is our focus. The only way the Hornets, the organization, are going to be good is if we develop our draft well and develop those guys into being solid players. Well, so far they've done that. So good on JB for that. Secondly, one of the criticisms that JB always got was about his rotations, but I always felt like that was a weird criticism because his predecessor had very concrete rotations that he did not move off of. Steve Clifford would trot the same 5 dudes out there.
No matter what the result is.
No matter what the situation was, whereas JB was kind of like, okay, that doesn't work, or okay, he's even said he's very matchup oriented, which I think works in the NBA. Why wouldn't you want to do that? If you think that having PJ and Miles on the floor is better than having Cody Zeller because the Bucks are small. Then why wouldn't you do that? And it worked. The Bucks are small. They didn't have Giannis, so why have a team that can score a lot of points? And that's what happened. The Hornets almost scored 130 points because they had Miles and PJ out there rather than Cody Zeller in the paint. That's JB is showing his chops as a coach. He's learning. He's not making the same rookie mistakes that he was making 2 seasons ago. I mean, it's getting harder and harder to criticize him. Yes, he's going to make mistakes sometimes. He's always going to he's going to make a bad decision or two, but the good that he's doing has to outweigh any mistakes that he might make.
And I think, man, plus fans don't want to acknowledge that sometimes young coaches have to learn on the fly. Mm-hmm. And you especially have to learn on the fly when you don't really know what you have out of your roster. This is a roster full of young developing players. It's not like, this is not a roster with Nick Batum and Marvin Williams and MKG, and you know what you get out of these guys. You get what I'm saying? JB, for the most part, he's been in a situation where he didn't know what Malik Monk was just yet. He didn't know he still probably doesn't know what Jalen McDaniels is yet. He didn't know what Miles Bridges was yet. So you're constantly experimenting and you're constantly trying to see what works. And like Kaza said, we rate Steve Clifford over the Coles for not doing that. So the criticism is just a little puzzling, man. But all in all, man, we're sitting in the 4th seed right now, and there's nothing anyone can really say to try to, kind of, I don't know, criticize the job he's done overall.
You can't tell me the players don't respond to JB. There was at one point in the game,
LaMelo Ball. Make sure you mention that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point in the Bucks game where Terry Rozier got fouled on a 3 and they didn't call it, but he hit the shot and he fell, and Borrego comes off the sideline, which you're not even supposed to do, but he comes off the sideline and help Terry up and be like, all right, come on, get back, play defense. Have you ever seen? Well, first of all, I've never seen Steve Clifford do anything like that, but I think that he's got this rapport with the players that we haven't seen from a Hornets coach in a long time, maybe since Larry Brown, maybe. And I think that goes a long way before.
Well, look, please don't say Larry Brown, because I think they got sick of him by the time he got out.
I don't know how many people watched the pregame before the Bucks game, but there was a clip where they were showing JB in the locker room, and he's talking to the team, and he's saying, look, those of you that were here last season, remember how we performed at the end of the season before the pandemic. And he's right. It was essentially that same
team,
that same core of players who had gone on a win streak, had won like 7 of their last 10, and were trending up before the pandemic shut things down. And he essentially said, look, you guys are able to do it then. You guys are able to do it now. And it looks like they're going to hold the fort down until Gordon Hayward and Malik Monk come back at least. If the Hornets are a 4th seed at the end of the season, that kudos to JB.
And I don't want to hear any more slander any more directed his way at this point, because he would have navigated significant injuries to LaMelo, Gordon, and Malik. And look, Cody Zeller was out for 3 weeks at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And this team was predicted to have 24 wins this year. We're at 27 now? 26, 27 now?
27, yeah.
So just shut the hell up about James Borrego at this point.
Basically.
So, guys, today we have a game literally in 10 minutes against Atlanta. Following that, we have a game against LA, the Lakers, then Cleveland and Brooklyn. What is your schedule prediction for this week upcoming? Keep in mind, Atlanta today, Trae Young is out, John Collins is out, Gallinari is out, and Bembry is out. Not Bembry, but their small forward is out as well. So what is your record prediction for this week?
I want to say 3-1 so bad. I want to keep up the optimism so
2-2 for me.
Listen, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why I'm on the fence with my 3-1, man. And it is the Los Angeles Lakers in particular, because what they did last night, I'm like, hold on, like They did that to who last night? And listen, I'm going to need a shower after I say this because I despise the Los Angeles Lakers with all my soul. But that was pretty damn impressive what they did last night, man. So even without LeBron or even without AD, I rarely ever say, oh, man, we should win that game. I never say that anyway. NBA teams are NBA teams for a reason, man. So going into that game, it's not like, oh, man, LeBron and AD's out. Yeah, let's go ahead and rack up this W. I'm just not as confident as I am after last night's game, man. So that's my whole reason behind 3-1. We again, we should – I'll put it this way. We should be favored to win today. Mm-hmm. We should be favored to win against Cleveland. Also, keep in mind, for some reason, we struggled to beat Cleveland for whatever damn reason in the last 3 or 4 games, but we should be favored to win that game. So the optimistic side of me is going to say 3-1, but I'm kind of feeling 2-2, man. But I'm gonna go 3. I'm gonna
go 2-2. I think we lose to Brooklyn and LA, and I think we beat. Although I had originally had today's game pegged as a loss, but then I saw the injury report. And I think the Hornets can pull this out. This is a really important game. JB, he's in the locker room stressing the importance of this game because you win this game, that's pretty much the division, especially if you can hold off of Miami. Then you don't have to worry about Atlanta. You own the tiebreakers over them. You'll then be 4 games over 500 with 2 full games over Atlanta for the 4th seed in the division lead. This is
3. I think it'd be 3 because we beat them.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I mean, this is a huge, huge game for both Charlotte and Atlanta, which is why I'm kind of surprised Atlanta is sitting so many players. But I mean, if they're injured, then they're injured. I think we'll beat Cleveland, although Cleveland's guard play is going to
gives us trouble, man.
Yeah. The difference though is that previously when we played Cleveland, they had Andre Drummond. So we couldn't really focus on the guards because they had Drummond down low getting rebounds and putbacks. Now that that's not a concern anymore, I think defensively we'll be able to focus on Cleveland's guards. Jalen McDaniels probably see a lot of playing time, and I think Cleveland's guards would have trouble with Jalen McDaniel if he's playing a 2-guard position. So I think
and let me say one thing about the Hawks, having all these people out. And I want to talk to Hornets fans real quick. I don't give a damn what the other team does and who they sit out and who we play and who we quote unquote should be. We have no control over that, man. Mm-hmm. Before the start of this season, I think all 3 of us agreed that we're happy with beating the teams we're quote unquote supposed to beat, and maybe not being ready for the heavyweights like Brooklyn and LA and all this stuff. That's all we can control, man. So to sit here and try to downgrade a win over a team we're supposed to beat, man, it's corny. We as Hornets fans, we will take every little victory we can get until we don't get them anymore. It is as simple as that, man.
Look, you play who's in front of you. It doesn't matter the circumstances. We're all dealing with COVID. We're all dealing with injuries. A win's a win. A loss is a loss. So, guys,
especially that narrative is weird considering the Hornets have major injuries. 3 of our maybe 5 best players are not playing.
45% of our scoring is out.
Yeah, so.
But then on top of that, that's kind of talking like we were supposed to be in the Eastern Conference Finals anyway. Like, do we not know who we are? Like, come on, man.
We're literally year 2 in the rebuild. Year 3.
Technically year 3, but the first year it's hard to count because that was still
get the
team. So this would be the full swing in the rebuild. Although we had to kind of cut it short because Gordon Hayward came available on the market. But the Hornets are way above where they were supposed to be.
Gotcha. So, guys, I got a surprise one. Let's just keep this one short. So, ESPN released their future rankings for top 25, top 25 under 25, and LaMelo Ball was 3. And I heard a lot of stuff saying that he wasn't 3. Are you comfortable with him being 3rd on this list?
I totally am comfortable with LaMelo Ball being 3rd on this list, and I know we're going to get a lot of Homer talk, but I will explain why. And I think people need to read. People need to specifically read what that damn meme said. It specifically said based off potential. Let's not leave that part out. I do want to know. I forget who exactly did this, but there was another one created where it said who is the best, who's the top 10 players under 25 now. LaMelo was not on that list, and I'm also fine with that as well. Okay, we have talked ad nauseum about the potential of LaMelo Ball. Like I've always said, his instincts are top notch already. His instincts are nothing like I've ever seen. When he builds muscle, when he cuts down on the rookie stuff, when he totally understands the NBA game. Again, let me remind people he's only 19 years old. When that stuff is fixed, he is going to be a superstar in this league. Based off potential, yes, he deserves to be on this list.
Look at everyone on that list. Who, besides Luka and Zion, were better rookies than LaMelo Ball is now? Nobody on that list. Everyone's like Devin Booker. Devin Booker was, he was a good rookie, but not like LaMelo Ball. Look at this. We haven't seen a rookie season like LaMelo Ball has. Very often in the last decade. Luka, Ja Morant, a few other guys. But for a rookie to come in, as a starter, he's averaging like 27 and 7. What? That's absolutely ridiculous. I think, like Jamal said, based on potential, you look at that. This kid is 19 years old, and he's already had a better rookie season than anybody else on that list except for the two guys above him. I think that tells you all you need to know. Now, if you said, okay, best players under 25 outright, then yeah, no, I don't think LaMelo Ball would be number 3. He hasn't done enough in the league, I think, to warrant any kind of ranking with guys like Devin Booker and Ja Morant and Luka Doncic. So, but it's one of those things that ESPN, as much as I love them, they sensationalize everything. And although I think that list the intent wasn't to be sensationalist, but they knew the reaction would be because no one reads. No one sees where it says based on potential. They just say, oh my God, how can you put LaMelo Ball over Devin Booker? Well, Devin Booker is like 24 years old, dude. LaMelo Ball's 5 years younger. That's kind of the point of the meme. So,
and I totally agree with that, man. Like, if you go back and look at his numbers that he was putting up, they were literally LeBron level type numbers, and his vision for 19 years old is unparalleled. His on the court presence, and the boy hasn't even grown into his man body yet. He's still a kid. He's 19 years old, and he's basically one of the only rookies outside of Anthony Edwards in his 20s. In the 20s, he's the only rookie on that list. But I wouldn't have been mad if you slid him to 5. I wouldn't have been mad if you had him at 2. It just depends on what you value as far as the potential.
No, that's a good point.
Jason Tatum. I understand the Jason Tatum and maybe the Donovan Mitchell arguments, but they're older. They've been through that ringer a little more, and I'm gonna be quite frank with you. They were drafted into better organizations that put them in better positions.
No doubt.
LaMelo Ball is basically a franchise type savior at this point, and he at 19 years old he really elevates the play of his teammates. Mm-hmm. Like you have to. It's not based on what you see right now. It's what you see and what you think he projects to be in a couple of years. Put it like this: LaMelo Ball's 19. He's going to be on this list for 5 more years.
Yeah. Yep.
Think about that. 5 more years he's on the list.
Well, and Max Kellerman made a good point. Who besides Luka and Melo do everything that those two guys do? LaMelo can rebound. He averages almost 7 a game as a starter. We know he can pass the ball. And he can score, which was a concern of everyone, coming into the draft. Well, he can't score as well as Anthony Edwards. Well, he led all rookies in scoring until his injury. So, guys like Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is a great player, but Donovan Mitchell is primarily a scorer. That's what he does. Devin Booker is a scorer. Zion Williams is a scorer. none of those guys on that list really are this kind of Swiss Army knife that LaMelo Ball is. So,
and plus he has more followers on
Instagram
than Okay, so man, unfortunately, a few days back, Phillip Adams, the former NFL player for the Raiders, Patriots, Seahawks, Jets, and from Rock Hill High School, and he went to South Carolina State. Murdered Dr. Robert Leslie and his family and one of his employees. It's an all-out tragic situation. I wish it could have been prevented, but we don't know what his triggers were or whatnot. So, guys, just come and give me some thoughts and feelings about this whole situation.
I'll make it quick because the Hornets are about to come on. But my first thought was CTE, just based on how people described him, and we can only go off that because we don't know these people. You know what I mean? A lot will come out, later, and I don't want to get too deep into that stuff, man. All I want to say to this man is that for anybody watching out there, if you see any signs of mental illness, if you see any signs of somebody who is not mentally well, man, you gotta communicate with somebody, man, because these type of tragedies are just, I can't even. It's unthinkable. It's unimaginable. We really just gotta make a better form on mental health in this country, man, and we have a long way to go with that. And I'll just keep it at that, man.
Yeah, I mean it's sad, of course, but for it to happen in a place like Rock Hill, for a place like Rock Hill to get national news, Rock Hill is like a second home to me. I practically grew up there, growing up in Charlotte. My dad's family's from there. I hung out in Boyd Hill, Sunset Park. I used to go to the Jamboree every year. Now, I didn't even go to high school there, but if you from Rock Hill, the Jamboree was the place to be. That's where you show off all your new fits. And, of course, you get to see Northwestern and Rock Hill High play. And Rock Hill being a football town, they've had so much NFL talent come out, starting from Jeff Burrs, Chris Hope. And so right. So when I think about it, it's really not all that surprising because this isn't the first time we've seen this happen with the NFL player.
Yeah.
And it will not be the last time.
Unfortunately, yeah.
See it. It's just unfortunate that it finally hit close to home for a lot of people. My dad and his wife were friends with the Adams family. So, everyone at Rock Hill knows each other. The tragedy is really, really compressed because Rock Hill is such a small, close-knit community, although it's become like an extension of the Charlotte metro area. So it's not surprising to see it get in national news, but I mean, now we have to be vigilant that this doesn't happen again in a place anywhere really, but especially in a place like Rock Hill or these football towns across America that produce a lot of NFL talent.
No doubt.
And then I recently read that they are going to kind of look at his brain and see if there are any signs of CTE, which I'm be honest, there probably is.
Oh yeah, definitely.
No
Apparently, he had been being treated for possible brain issues, and he, for some reason, was off his meds. And a lot of people think that is the trigger. We won't know for sure. We'll never really know. But
and I'm gonna just say this and then we'll move on. So I just think about his life, man. He was on 4 NFL teams, a 7th round draft pick, and it's no telling how many concussions this young brother had.
Yeah,
especially how many he concealed trying to stay on the roster, do what he has to do, and to be 30, he was 32 years old, 32 years old.
He didn't have the luxury of like Luke Kuechly, who said, okay, you know what? I've made a lot of money. I've done a lot of good. I'm out. Being a 7th round draft pick, you always got to prove. He had, despite being in the NFL for as long as he was, Phillip Adams, and all these teams, he really didn't have any money. He was back living with his parents, because a lot of people don't realize that guys like him don't make a lot of money in the NFL. A lot of that money gets eaten up by taxes, lawyers, family, all of those things. So, so he had to play as long as he could. And like you said, he probably suffered a ton of head injuries.
He had to conceal it.
Yeah.
I mean, you injured, your 7th round pick. They cut you.
Yeah.
I mean that's unfortunately that's just how it goes. And we want to send our condolences to the doctor's family.
Absolutely.
You are in our thoughts and prayers. And we're gonna move on to shout outs. Quick shout outs.
Shout at to any Carolina Hurricanes fan that does not like P.D. Pablo's "Raise Up" as the goal song. I mean, that is like the most accessible rap song like ever. Everybody can get behind it. Everyone loves it. It gets the crowd hype. You got 18,000 people all spinning their towels around their head like a helicopter when the Hurricanes score a goal. How can you not like that? Some people were making that sentiment in the Hurricanes Facebook group, and it's like
weird.
And the suggestions they were giving for goal songs were like Essence, really? When the what? I don't. Yeah,
they want to play Sweet Caroline.
Yeah, no. It's much better than the old. I don't know if you guys remember, or if anybody out there remembers the old Hartford Whalers goal song. The Hurricanes kind of adopted it when when the Whalers moved over. It was not good. And I'm very glad that the Hurricanes decided to move into this millennium and play Raise Up. So Raise Up forever be the goal song for the Hurricanes.
I just have one parting shot.
Hey, cut it off. Copyright.
Rest in peace, DMX.
Rest in peace, brother.
Rest in peace.
I want to give a shout out to Vashti for joining us today.
Yes, thank you.
Taking time out of her busy schedule. And shout out to her for going viral as well. We saw that Carolina
I know, right?
tag right there. I'm like, look at sis doing big things. I see. And then man, just shout out to everybody that supports us, man, and just kind of watches us, shares us, likes us. We really do appreciate that. And we look forward to bringing you guys more awesome content. RIP to DMX. Don't be so fast to kill off your legends. Oh, I got a shot at, man. Shot at the people that saying that we didn't give DMX his flowers until he was gone. Man, DMX was of the people. DMX was out here. Everybody showing him love today. Everybody was praying for him. Look,
he was literally one of the most loved MCs ever.
Yeah, I guess people didn't remember the verses against Utah 2 months ago that had like 5 million views.
Hello.
Like, when celebrities die, people want to make themselves seem important. That's why we're seeing the morality police suddenly come out with DMX death. Forget those people.
Yeah, pretty much.
Forget them. Oh, final message: protect our children. They are precious and they are future. You guys have a wonderful day. Go Hornets.
Go Hornets.
Keep pounding. Rise up. Have a good day.
Peace.